If anyone does not wish to have the be recorded, please leave. Otherwise, we assume that you'll be okay. Sharif, please open the meeting. I'll put my screen on with the agenda. There you go.
Yeah. So welcome everyone to the October 2021 OWASP board meeting. In attendance is myself. From the board is Martin, Owen, Vandana, Bill, and Grant. Juven is absent, but understandable. And we have the OWASP staff. So Andrew, Dawn, Harold, Kelly, and Lauren, who joins us for the first time. So the first item on the agenda is the OWASP board meeting minutes. Andrew, actually, I don't think you're sharing your screen, are you?
Okay, give me one tick.
Yeah.
Okay, you should be able to see the meeting details of the October board meeting.
Yes, so for the previous meeting minutes, can I have a second to approve the board meeting?
Yeah, second. Second.
Right. It's not a competition, so thank you. So on
that was me that said second twice, by the way. So I was competing with myself in that case.
Oh, I said it.
Oh,
yes.
Did you? I didn't hear you.
Yes, we did hear Martin, but
I didn't.
In any case, I'll open the vote in order of people I see. So Martin?
Yes.
Owen?
Yep.
Grant?
Yes.
Vandana? I think you're on mute, so we didn't hear you.
Yes.
Yes. And that's a yes for myself as well.
And Bill's a yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes. And Bill, for some reason. No, for some reason, I didn't actually. It's sorry. Either I missed you or I didn't see you in the list. So apologies unreservedly. Yeah. So thank you. The vote has been approved, 6 to 1 abstention. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for Andrew to go through the report and the update for the month.
Cool. Hey guys, I am trying something new. I really do want us to have a better way of reporting to the board that takes less time for the staff. I do realize that some of the reports can be lengthy and may not provide the oversight that's required. So let me just present what I'd like to do. I am very willing to take feedback from the board about how this is presented and what you want to see in here. At the very least, I want to improve the way we do financial reporting. But in particular, I want to lighten the load of the events team because the board has previously expressed a desire to have a summary view of events and which events are actually in trouble and which ones the board can actually assist with without getting deeply into operational matters. So without further ado, this is what I'm trying to do. In finance, I'm going to let Tom talk about all of the details, but I'm just going to give you the highlights of the KPIs that used to be presented as little tiny spark lines. We have a gold rating from GuideStar. Thank you, Sharif, for setting that up earlier this year. I will upload the 990 once it's approved or dropped it to the IRS, which, by the way, Tom will tell you that is currently in review. I will review it today, and we are likely to submit it to the IRS tomorrow, but I'll let Tom talk about that in more detail. In Charity Navigator, we have got 97 out of 100. That is actually excellent for any charity, let alone us. So I want to keep these up very high. When we get into fundraising in big ways, this will help us. Our operating reserves is a KPI that we have not previously reported, but it's actually essential. Up until the disbanding of balances, operating reserves were fictional at best and negative probably in reality. So by disbanding the project balances and the chapter balances in the main has actually given us a view into standard GAAP operating reserves, and we are fine. 13.2 months this month. for September, which is the latest finance figures we have available, is in excellent shape. Any charity with above 6 months worth of operational reserves is in good health. Tom can probably speak to that a little bit better. He looks after any number of charities. I think we're doing okay. Tom, is that an accurate reflection of the reality?
Yes, the industry average for not-for-profits is 6 months. So, and if last year taught us nothing, having a reserve is a very good thing. I will say this: I did look back over the last 12 months, and I do put that in my narrative. But we're holding steady at about the same cash level and the same months of reserve, September of 20 to September of 21. So.
Yep. Absolutely. And so it comes to our cash assets. You can see our cash assets have barely budged since November of last year, to Tom's point. The budgeted number here, I've actually had to fake. It's not in the accrual-based accounting, so budget forecast we have. Tom does present to me in a more detailed budget a cash forecast. We may make that more visible in the 2022 budget. AR is $56,000 over 30 days. That was confirmed by Dawn this morning. This is less than 5% of cash assets. However, a lot of those are speculative invoices. My predecessor quite rightly was trying to make things a lot simpler by just simply giving invoices to people who are expressed an interest in becoming a sponsor, but not all of those turn out. In fact, in standard sales terms, 75% of them won't turn out. So we may need to use the write-off that is actually budgeted. We have a 9K write-off. I will work with Dawn and Tom to make sure that AR is kept under control. I think it is under good control at the moment. AP is being paid on time. We have no problems paying our bills. Year-to-date net income, you can see that we had a number of months where our expenses were quite high, but we've also had a profit for the first time since 2020 in this last month. This is actually a very good sign. This actually just simply indicates to me that we absolutely 100%, no matter how healthy our account balances look and how often our operating reserves look quite healthy, we need to pay attention to our expenses, and we do need to continue our diversification of income, and we need to get into fundraising. So these are some of the biggest items on my to-do list right now. Members, we broke 5,000 for the first time ever. I have some suspicions about numbers. Let me just turn that off. Okay. As you can see, compared to our goal of 4,500 members last year, 3,500 members last year and 4,000 members this year, we have blown through that goal quite considerably. We are well on our way to hitting 6,000 members. If we keep on going up at this rate, I think we'll hit 6,000 probably by mid next year. I am very pleased with the way that the membership drives have worked, and also the membership benefits have obviously encouraged more people to join. This is fantastic news for us. It's actually helped us diversify our income. For the first time, membership is actually paid for the staff member involved. This is actually a really good thing. And that's exactly what I want for each area. Every area should be able to pay for itself. Now we're getting to the, I'm sorry?
Martin has a question.
Yeah, so we always have do we also track on how many renewals we have and number of members?
It's actually really hard. This is one of the problems we have with our current system, is that it's extraordinarily hard to work out who renewed. We don't have good metrics. I can tell you a number.
We don't know who renewed, how many renewed, right? It's different in price.
No, Conor,
okay.
I have no idea. That's something we absolutely 100% do need to fix, and it's going to be fixed by getting a new AMS. And which leads me into, I don't know if you can see my photo. I'm going to hold up a graph. I want to get to an events dashboard like this, that every event will have its own little health graph of registrations and sponsorships and speakers and trainers. So where the board can assist us with this is to notice if an event needs assistance. AppSec Dublin, for example, hasn't really opened up yet, but we do need a local organising event team there. So, and don't expect us to, expect us very much to reach out to you. I see you've got your mouth full, so. Okay, cool. Just getting back to my overall ED report before I hand over. Obviously, I was ill for some of this month. I'm getting much better. We've talked about membership. We've had a really great 20th anniversary. Honestly, we need to get the operating plan from last year finished, but we also need to get the 2022 one written. I will be socializing that with the board over the next month. Most of it is currently written. I'm waiting for projects to finalize their version, and then we'll have to agree goals with staff, and then we'll socialize it with the board. Some of the problems we've had recently have related to our membership list, which I sort of highlighted just there. It took nearly 3 days to work out who was going to get a vote, and it still wasn't accurate, and we ended up having 70 odd duplicates. This is unacceptable to me in every single way. We're going to have to do something about looking at AMSs that actually adhere to our bylaws and our policies and have metrics like who renewed. I mean, that's a very basic metric we cannot answer right now. And, you know, to my mind, holding an election is in the bylaws. We need to be able to answer the question on September 30 every year, who gets a vote? That should only take a few seconds. It took 3 days and it was inaccurate. We have resolved those through the hard work of Dawn, and I wish to thank Dawn for all of her hard work, including the long hours that she's had to put in to make this work. We will be replacing our current system with a proper AMS. It will hopefully reduce our costs as well. I'm going to be bringing that forward. It was supposed to be a 2022 deliverable, but we can't continue this way. We just can't. I'm just working on the reporting mechanisms. You've seen it. If there's any feedback on that, please provide it to me offline. I know, Sharif, you've provided feedback in the past. If you do see something that you want to improve, just let me know and I'll share the spreadsheet and the actual presentation with you. Feel free to make the changes you want to see because it is for the board's benefit. And with that, I'll pass it on to Tom.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Andrew, that presentation is a great summary. I mean, it goes along with the board summary that we create so that the board gets more of a summary view and yourself and the treasurer get the more detailed view, but can be drilled down into if any board member has any questions. So that was very good. You know, as Andrew mentioned, the 990 has been completed, the final version. He and Grant have it to review. Once they approve, Andrew will sign the electronic file form and it'll get filed with the IRS as it's due on November 15th, but we have plenty of time. So hopefully if we get it done by the end of this week, we'll be good and 2020 will be behind us. I'm going to start and try and take the screen, Andrew, if I can. Yep.
Yep.
And I will, the narrative, you all have seen it. The one thing in the narrative I do want to point out before I go through the P&L and the balance sheet is just looking at the 2021 AppSec. I did a little bit of analysis based on Andrew and Kelly's suggestion. So we've got 220,000 worth of sponsorship. That number is a week old, so it could be more. Same registrations, about 36,000 and just under 8,000 in training. For a total of 263, our revenue budget is 350. So hopefully, you know, we need about another 90,000 in revenue to get to our 350 budget. And on the expense side, our budget is 75, but we don't expect the expenses to go that high. So we should be hitting our revenue budget and be under on our expenses, which, as you'll see in the P&L, is what we're doing with just about all categories. With that, I will show you guys the balance sheet. So here's where we are from a statement of financial position for OWASP at a point in time as of September 30th. So we had just under 1.3 million in cash. It's about the same as it was last year at this time. It was about $50,000 or so higher. Our receivables, Andrew made a point about the collections. Don and I and Kelly are staying in contact. We've taken care of a number of old issues. That was part of what we needed to change because luckily we hadn't finished completely closing the books and reported to the IRS. So some of the write-offs that we had went into last year because the revenue was recognized in last year and the auditors signed off on it. So we're good. We have about a $9,000 bad debt reserve still on the books that we can put any other write-offs to that have to be for this year. We've also changed the way we recognize revenue. I'm only recognizing paid sponsorships at this point. So if they haven't paid, it sits here on the balance sheet in our deferred number. And if they don't pay for it, it never hits the P&L. As an example, if a sponsor, we build them and 4 months later they pay their bill, then I true it up and recognize the 4 months from previous and get us up to date. But if they turn around and for whatever reason do not pay, we don't incur a revenue hit at that point. And I do that for most of my tech clients. It saves a lot of headaches on the other end. I had one client once that had to write off $500,000 because they were just recognizing invoices that never got paid. I'll stop there for a second and see if anybody has any questions on revenue and AR. Okay, not hearing any. Our AP is fairly standard. We don't have a lot of chapter expenses or event expenses, so that's stayed fairly the same. This is actually a good thing. Most of this, actually all of it, is unrecognized revenue for either events that haven't happened yet or corporate sponsorships that we will recognize over the term of the sponsorships. Our equity in the organization is still over $1 million. And our total equities and liabilities, about 1.6. So to Andrew's point, we're doing exceptionally well with our cash number being above a year. A lot of orgs that I work with, once they get to 8-9 months, I will recommend that they start spending back into the organization. But for us, we're a little different in that we've got prepayments for events. So staying a little more liquid and cash heavy allows us to take care of those. And we're going to start seeing those again with Dublin. But you do have enough funds to invest in things, as Andrew talked about, in an association management system. I've offered to help vet that out because I work with a number of different ones. That will take care of your membership database and the issues you have for balloting. So I know that's an initiative for 2022. And again, happy to help because I work with a number of different options there. I'll stop and take any questions on the balance sheet at this point.
Not so much as the balance sheet, but with regards to the new system that we would purchase. I know that it would save us time and money over, in the long run, and we would need it. But do you have an estimate as to what that would cost us? And also for the integration, because the actual system, especially if it's a SaaS platform, I don't necessarily think that that's the hard part. The hard part is the integration and the migration of that data across to OWASP.
I can't speak to numbers, financial numbers at the moment. Tom might have better insight to that. My goal right now is to gather the actual business requirements of the organization, and then we can select a platform that meets our actual business requirements, including future ones such as marketing and targeting certain groups for, like, for example, when I first joined, we wanted to make sure that AppSec Cali attendees who received a free membership last year were targeted for marketing to renew. In the end, only 11 did. It took us a long time to work out who got those memberships. And at the end of the day, all I knew was the total number. We absolutely do need to document our business requirements before we can say, yes, these are the likely platforms and these are the likely costs. Now, according to Tom, you've got other orgs using member clicks and other things. What's your experience with fees?
Sure. So it depends. And Sharif, you're spot on. What costs the most is the integration and how much data you take into the new system. The less amount of integration and migration of data, the less those fees cost. For a platform like MemberClicks or your membership or any of those, you're looking at a platform fee on average of about $5,000 a year. So not a lot. An average integration, I'm working with, I had a client that just moved 3,000 members. Theirs cost about $15,000, including your membership fees. I'm working with another one of my longstanding clients that will move 1,500 members in the first quarter next year. Their fees will be 10 to 15. It depends on the amount of data you move. But what this allows you to do is inside of these platforms, using YM as an example, you can have a community, you can have an event system, you can have balloting, you can set up a jobs board that could actually create a revenue source for OWASP, where companies could put, job postings up, variety of different things. And you wouldn't necessarily need to give up your current website. There would be a membership portal that once you log in will take you to whatever AMS, Association Management System, you've provided. So Andrew's got the right idea that once you determine the business requirements that will benefit your members and OWASP as a whole, then you can start looking at some of the different platforms that are out there. And again, I work with a number of them, so I'm happy to assist. But that's what you're looking at is $20,000 to $30,000, unless you get a little crazy. I do have one client that has about 10,000 members. They've just gotten $2 million grants, and they spent over $100,000 on your membership. They have the money to do it, but I thought it was a little excessive.
Yeah, I'd say so, but on the whole, that's fine. I think just thinking out loud, the only other thing I can think of, I want to avoid obviously something like the issue that we had with Fontiva is that now anytime we want to build or add a feature, then we had to basically go to them, or it was painful. So I'm also conscious of it might be fine if we're all in that world, but also making sure there's flexibility if we need data to go out into other systems and so on, that the integration has taken that into account, just our workflows. But okay. That's
Martin has a question, and then I'll respond.
I just want to kindly remind Sheriff that's operational what we use, but that we use one. I think there's it's a no-brainer. We have so many years that we have problems to get some information about our community. The voting is a nightmare for years already, so we have to go to the right system, and of course it's operational. So yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily disputing that. It's absolutely sure. It's just that I want to make sure that we have the lessons learned from last time, like Fontiva and others. But sounds good.
So Sharif, you're absolutely right. So your membership, as most of the platforms do, have APIs to QuickBooks and other things. Kelly could use them to actually do her invoicing and not necessarily need Stripe, which is expensive. To your point about Fontiva, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was part of Salesforce, everything there is kind of customized with options like your membership or MemberClicks. Their pages are template driven. So you all will have a better ability to go and make changes on your own inside of the templates than you would with a larger one like Salesforce or Fontiva.
So just on the finance side, if it gets more expensive than my signing authority, I will reach out to the board to make sure that if we're spending any money this year, I will make sure the board is fully aware of any potential costs and also any potential savings. To my mind, part of the business requirements here is what could we retire and what productivity will we get back from having an integrated system that we no longer need to code or manage.
You know, pitching to the choir in general, it's more of just making sure that it's well thought of and based on the budget versus the risk versus the reward. It's quite good. I might have one or two caveats here and there, but I just wanted to make sure that it's, you know, well thought of, because we did have several integrations which either just lingered longer than they should have, because there are a few edge cases or large cases for that matter weren't fully considered. But I support sort of the direction. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Tom, is
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to take us through the board summary real quick, and then we can get on to other business. So what was really truly driving September and Q3 now that it's over was the 20th anniversary. Of this 229, about 210 to 11 was directly related to the 20th anniversary, when our budget was about 50,000. So congratulations, Kelly and the team, for handling that. Most of those invoices have been paid, but I'm tracking them along with Kelly and Dawn. Membership continues to remain high. As an example, individual membership year-to-date budget was 112,000. Our actual is 264 for individual members. Corporate, because we're recognizing it on a 1/12, our budget was 150, actual recognition is about 75. So we're halfway to that on the corporate side, although it will catch up and spill into next year because we're recognizing based on recognition versus the actual payments coming in. We're still doing a phenomenal job with membership. This grant is the Google Summer of Code. We budgeted 6,500 as an estimate. It came in basically right there. You know, donations and projects still continues to move along. And, you know, we've talked about the merchandise and trademarks. Looking at the quarter, again, it's the same driving force that the 20th anniversary put us well ahead. The reason that this is off a little bit is because in the third quarter, I had to make the recognition change for corporate. But as you see here, year to date, we're still ahead because individual is way outpacing its budget. Events is way up. This, we had put in a $10,000 grant for revenue and a $10,000 expense that hasn't materialized. Donations are moving along. And then again, we know about merchandise and trademarks. So I'll stop there if anybody has any questions with regards to the revenue side. But it's all exceptionally good news with $226,000 ahead of our budget. Now, there's a little bit of a timing issue in that the 20th anniversary was budgeted for for October, but we had it in September. So next month we'll flip a little bit, but we outpaced revenue by so much, it shouldn't really have the timing effect, shouldn't take us the other way. Okay, not hearing any questions. On the expense side, year to date, through the month, we're $22,000 under. Events is doing a really good job, although some of the expense for the 20th anniversary is budgeted for October. So we'll see some of those show up, but we did not outpace our budget. The outreach is we've caught up with our meetup expenses. That's what they're flowing into. Everything else, with the exception of G&A, which we've talked about, the Insperity fees, as well as legal expenses, are a little over, but in total, we're still way over budget in revenue, way under budget in expense, which means we're way over budget in net income on a positive basis. Through the month of September, the same is following through with Q3. As you can see, over budget revenue, under budget expense for a positive net income over budget. But this is what Andrew was showing. We are actually showing a positive net income. So recognizing more revenue than our expense for the first time in quite a while. As you can see, we're way under budget in expenses year to date, and the only one that's over is G&A, again, for the insperity fees and the legal that we've had to use. We're almost $392,000 ahead of budget net income. So I feel fairly comfortable saying that not only will we achieve our year-end net income budget, which was a negative 99, but if we keep going the last 3 months of the year, we should, and AppSec US hits its budget numbers. You know, last con was a small net income, and AppSec, the Australia Day or Australia conference, which isn't happening, was not that large a net income number. We might be able to show a positive net income for 2021. So, you know, congratulations to the board and the staff. This is phenomenal news in the environment that we're in. So with that, I'll take any questions.
So that brings me to the health of AppSec USA from that perspective. How confident are we to be hitting the targets? Do we have any risks at this point in time?
I'm going to pass over to Kelly for this one. She actually put it into the detailed event summary. Kelly, do you have the ability to share your screen, or do you want me to share the report you had?
I don't have my report up, but if you could share your screen, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And since the date that I created that report last week to this morning, I've sold more sponsorships. So right now, if we're starting at $85,000 or $90,000 more, we only need right now 53,000 more to meet our 350,000. Although we're going to meet those, I don't have a fear that we're not going to meet those numbers. But what I would like to see is obviously registration numbers go up. Registration is still, it's hovering, it's almost at 500 this morning. I want to say it's like 457. So obviously we need registration numbers to go up. That'll just increase our revenue there. But sponsorships, I feel like I said, we've got $53,000 more to spend or to sell, and we'll meet our numbers.
So I have a question with regards to that, because I know we just deep dived specifically to this, but what numbers do you want to hit for the registration, and by when?
Well, the event starts, training starts November 8th. The conference itself starts the 11th. I'd like to get to at least 2,000 total, whether that be free tickets, which is the keynote and the expo hall registration, or paid. Overall, I'd like to see that number at least at 2,000. So we've got 2 weeks to go.
The conference registration, that's not it. Okay, so total training tickets is 9, and then you have the conference registration. You need that to go from roughly 450 to 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So to give you a little bit of context, the $350,000 budget is total revenue for the event, sponsorship, registration, and training. So the 50,000 that we need to get to the 350 could be a combination of any of the three. So if Kelly gets to her 2,000 number for registration, you're going to more than meet the 50. If you sell a few more sponsorships, perfect. But to Kelly's point, we're selling sponsorships. They need eyeballs. So I understand, Kelly, why you're pushing on registration.
Yeah, but that, okay, so this wasn't sort of, yeah, I was just trying to get an understanding what that number was for
Mhm.
and why. So basically, based on what Tom has said, again, is that number basically for the 50,000, or is that number because that's when, for example, sponsorships will also get their return or feel that they've had a good event?
I think it's the latter. I think it would be, like Tom said, they need eyeballs. They wanted, when they get their opt-in report, they don't want to see just 30 leads.
Yeah.
So we want to make them happy. I don't want to have to deal with after the event saying that, registration numbers weren't there, or they didn't get, the ROI wasn't great. And I want to make sure that we did all we can. So that doesn't happen.
Okay, so where is the event lacking that the numbers are lower than expected?
Definitely registrations. I mean,
No,
we do.
but why in registrations? Why can't we get more? Like, what are the blockers or issues?
I don't know. I mean, we do see normally, our events trend that the registration will spike in the last couple of weeks. Now we've got 2 weeks left. And when I created this report, what is it saying? We had 443, which was last week. We're now up to 457. It's slowly inclining, but I don't know. I would like it to go a little bit, see those numbers jump a little bit more.
So I can add a little clarity to that. What we see across the board from our 80 or so clients that are doing online events, the fact that people do not have to make travel plans, hotel plans, it's last minute, because then they can, as they get closer to it, they can see if their calendar's free up and they don't have to make long range plans on it. So to your point, Kelly, yes, I think the last couple of weeks, and if we push it out to as many channels as we possibly can, we see that in the last week, you get almost a third of your registrants
Yeah.
that register.
Kelly, do you have it posted on the general meetup page?
I don't know if it's on general meetup or not.
So if you want to get with me, I can do that tomorrow. I just got to do some election things.
Okay. The only fear I have is with posting it on Meetup is I get bombarded with a million questions from people who don't read on Meetup and think that the event is either free, or that just because they said they're interested, that means that they registered, and they're not, even though we've, created a pop-up block that says you're not registered till you click here and we provide the link. I mean, I've experienced that throughout the entire year this year, and then I, have to deal with all those incoming emails where people just don't read.
All right. You just let me know if you want to. I'll help you if you do. Your
Okay.
call.
Yeah,
And
I think.
after
Go on, Andrew.
Kelly, I think LinkedIn advertising for the 20th anniversary worked really well. Let's get together after this and we'll get LinkedIn advertising working for the registration.
Perfect.
Yeah, so never do a meetup for anything. You expect somebody to non-visit event, never use meetup. Meetup is just some informational. It's not nothing for a real event.
Yep.
It's meetup, yeah. Okay, it's not a registration system.
And just to
When
put
you-
it out there too, guys, with Global AppSec US, if Martin, I know you've already signed up, so thank you for moderator. So if you guys know of anybody who would be interested in moderating, or you yourselves have a couple hours that you would like to donate and moderate a couple of the talks, we are looking for moderators.
I'll help.
Yes, please. I do it like 5 hours Friday and 4 hours on Thursday. So
The RMK team loves you, Martin. They know you already, so yes.
The last thing I'll just note just really quickly is that our platform costs and RMK's costs are much less than we budgeted, but we can't just keep on counting the expenses without finalizing the advertising bill and things like that.
Mhm. Yep.
So
Go ahead.
So in general, this is a really good report. The feedback that I have is, again, giving it earlier than expected. So giving us timelines as to what numbers you expect by when. So for example, when you to just go up to the membership number, for example, have the 900 one, yeah. sorry, the 443, saying current state and what you're expecting as a minimum, and then sort of reaching like a successful event. Yeah, the same thing applies to all the metrics, Andrew, and not just this one. So, and we have it in a deck or so on.
Yeah,
as you're highlighted.
That is the plan that I'm doing with this, is that I actually asked Kelly for a lot of information over the last few days, and I'll work with Kelly to get this, and we'll socialize the deck with you. If you read through this, Kelly and Lauren have put a lot of work into all the way to San Francisco next year. We'll continue to highlight things like Snowfrock and others, the virtual training that's in the Australian time zone. We will continue to improve our reporting on this. So as we get more visual, you can dive into the report. My goal is to make the reporting much faster for Kelly and Lauren.
Yeah, and the other one is to very, very specifically call out help from the board or from various resources that you need, so you know what it is. So, you know, current projects or current events, how it's going, no action required or needs board's attention, and exactly why, so that we deal with these problems way before they become a problem rather than like a week or two before. Because if I'm reading this correctly from the sponsorship, you think we're hitting the number, but for it to be a successful event, you basically need 4 to 5 times the number of current registrations in the next 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I think to go into details how you want to report it or how you can report it, that's something we should not discuss in a public board meeting, but it's something we always have to improve, right?
Yep, absolutely. And that's what I want to do, is not only make it faster for the events team to actually get this reporting done, but also provide that clarity that Sharif just mentioned. So I'll continue working with the board to improve our reporting.
Okay.
I'll turn it back over to Andrew, although I do want to say one quick thing just to let you all know. I'm starting to see in a number of the tech groups that I work with, a lot of the larger companies are saying that they have use it or lose it funds at the end of the year. I'm not sure that that's the case with any of you all or any of our sponsors, Kelly, but I know some of the other groups are actually getting in some contributions before December 31st because they don't want to lose the funds. So might be something for us to look at.
Okay. And just, I want to back up just a little bit. I don't know how many of the board members, but I wanted to introduce Lauren Thomas as our new event coordinator. So Lauren, this is the board and, you know, the staff already. So yes, so welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet everybody.
Welcome on board.
Okay. And Vandana, I
Welcome to the team.
received a chat about wanting to help, and who else was there? Somebody else I thought wanted to help. Okay. Vandana, I'll reach out to you for moderating. Thank you.
And with that, Sharif, I'm returning the control to you. You said you wanted to do some discussion amongst the board about a particular topic.
Oh, I thought, yeah, so this was in the beginning of the board call. This was with regards to communication and marketing. So we've brought up, for example, just the marketing on getting members to vote, but Kelly also highlighted also marketing with regards to getting people to register as well and register on time. And this has been a repeated theme. And it definitely feels like something is amiss. It's not so much as just the means that we're using, but also the messages that we're sending out and that they're not being as receptive. But I wanted to get the staff's thoughts on it and also the board's thoughts on it as well.
Okay, so I'll lead just really quickly, but I do want to hear from my staff as well as the board. our marketing, we are still waiting upon the virtual marketing team coming back to us with the report on what we should be doing. I think honestly at this point it's going to be a 2022 initiative. The call to action needs to be stronger in everything we do with our marketing. And I think we need to have a bit of a focus on what we're trying to achieve. Many times the marketing for the voting, for example, comes down to the tools that we use and the way that they display the actual thing. The call to action is not strong in those tools, and we need to take and improve that. But to further the actual messaging, one of the things I was hoping from the virtual marketing engagement was actually to understand the markets that we should be advertising in, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Meetup, Google, whatever the case may be. We don't have that information just right now. And I'd rather, whilst we don't have a large marketing budget, I don't want to blow it just on any random stuff. I think putting it into, say, for example, LinkedIn advertising, which worked really well for the 20th anniversary, would work really well for the AppSec virtual. However, we need a more strategic view, and I'm still waiting for that report. So Tom, any news on that report?
I was on mute. Somebody here was talking to me. I'm sorry, Andrew. What report were you asking about? I apologize.
The Matt Landry report.
Oh, I don't have any news, but I will ping him. He could quite possibly be in the office today, but I know it was on his list to finish.
Yes,
So-
I really just need it because I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to help us determine where we do our spend and who we target and how we target them.
I will connect with him and ask him to get it to you as soon as possible.
And sorry, is this report an actual marketing plan, or
Yes.
is it? Okay. So I did bring up with your predecessor over the last number of years that we needed to actually define the marketing plan and then have it something similar as the conference in a box, but marketing in a box for even our regional conferences and stuff like that. So that would be hugely beneficial, I guess, going forward if we get that.
Yeah, we've done the
sorry, go ahead.
we've done the interviews. I hope that he's had a chance to actually do some analysis and provide us some insight there. But yes, we can definitely, I think this will be our first strategic marketing plan in the history of the organization. So it's well overdue that we missed one to this point.
Yeah, if you want to send it on once it's done, I'm happy to review.
Yeah, absolutely. Dawn?
I think what Shreve said for me for the election, changing the way the subject lines and things like that will help. But I also think, thinking about it after, was that we have to make not just when it's time to vote elections like important. Like we should have put it on a banner on top of our website, like voting's open, or maybe on my signature line. But we don't really talk about the election and getting people involved until election happens, really. So maybe that's something like next year I change that up and kind of just put, make it somewhere when you're writing things about members, you get to vote in the elections, make it, more important. And for that sense, but I do want to bring up one thing since Owen just brought this up about like conference in the box. Bandana's offered to look in her area about printers and people I can use to get merchandise, that everything wouldn't be shipped from the US. So if anyone in Europe and those different areas, if you know any good printers or things like that that we could use, just send me some information. Because we might do it by region, like with still coming up the process, but it might be by if you live in this area, order it from here. If you live there. I'm sorry, Owen, you were saying something?
No, sorry. I was just gonna, I did a bit of work a few years ago to get stickers and stuff like that, and they ended up being like, even with printing them locally and all that kind of stuff, it was still cheaper to get them from America.
Oh, okay. See, I wouldn't have.
It
All right, that's something to
ended
look
up
at.
being like €600 or something for
Okay.
for stickers and postcards and stuff like that. So
Because I do think on some of the stuff, if you order, if it's conference, obviously there's a lot more stuff. It's a co-marketing conference. Shipping might end up being free, then it's not an issue. But we were talking about chapter in a box, like just people starting up, want flyers or a tablecloth. that kind of stuff I have to see. Okay, but I'll research some of
Yeah.
that.
Is the tablecloth was going to cost, I think, 300 or 400 euro. So I ended up just getting a purple one and getting this big sticker, an OWASP sticker to put in the front. So, like, it's but that's
Yeah, I get
so
what
it
you're
just
saying.
it was costing way too much money. But I think
So-
I did get one sent over as part of the Dublin prep last time. So
Yeah, because
there is one in Ireland.
200, so it would be cheaper to ship from here. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that's something I wouldn't have thought that was true with the shipping, but that's good to know.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
might find in Europe, in wider Europe, you might find places cheaper.
Okay.
So especially with shipping and stuff like that. But I'd stay away from the likes of Dublin, London, and those kind of bigger cities because that's where it's going to cost.
Okay,
Just
cool.
go to wherever Martin
Thank you.
lives. It'll be cheaper.
Okay.
It's because you're on an island. Everything is expensive to get there or bring from there. So
Definitely is.
it's not the quality.
Especially with COVID and Brexit and everything. Everything's gone way more expensive.
Yeah.
So
But there are places in East Europe you can ask, or I know other latest, but I can take it on. Yeah.
Oh, and what's one other thing, since I know, Martin, your rockets, we're running out, we're down to under 500. But if there's any, just send a chat message, an email, anything you would be something interesting for a new swag for next year. We're not going to go kind of necessarily the same things, but I know he has his rocket. I only have less than 500. That's it.
I think I have 500 meg stack up in the attic because I ordered them just before COVID. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
500 minus all the ones that he's broken, trying to attack his neighbors.
Okay.
Okay. Another item is, Andrew, are you fit for travel, or do you think you just need the time to rest up?
No, I'm fit for travel. I actually did drive yesterday. My wife had a migraine and I had to get to a medical appointment, so I took myself and it was fine. So I think because I still have status with United, I will just simply get them to help me with my luggage. I will check luggage and I think I'll be fine. Every day is better. I just can't lift more than 5 kilograms, so I just need to be cognizant of how much my stuff weighs. It should be fine.
But don't put somebody has to say, don't put yourself at unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
That's why I
from an OWASP
cancelled.
perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I cancelled the LostCon this week. I think traveling this week might have been a bit early. Every day I get better. I haven't needed any strong or even mild pain medications since Saturday. So I think honestly at this point, it's just a matter of making sure that I don't do anything silly like lift heavy stuff.
Don't do it, no.
Yeah.
But this might be a conversation for outside of the public board meeting, by the way.
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, basically, it's important that you understand where my health is, and I'm happy to talk about that privately.
Okay. All right. Does any other board member would like to bring up another discussion item? Okay. Motion to adjourn the board meeting. Can I get a second? Well done for meeting, getting in first.
Very enthusiastic there, Martin.
Yeah.
I just want to highlight that next board meeting is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. There may be limited staff during that week. So if there's anything yeah, exactly. If there's anything you need from staff, please highlight that in the board prep call the week before, and I'll make sure there's a more detailed staff report from that individual if you need them.
Brilliant.
Okay.
And just before we go, can we? I know I mentioned that last one. Can we get cracking on Dublin?
Yes.
Just given it's October, it's very little.
Oh, and I will be reaching out to you. Lucky.
Friend.
Yes, friend. We're gonna be close friends soon. We're gonna need your help.
We're always close friends.
We are. But I just,
Yeah.
just God
It's
forbid,
okay. I'm always happy to.
well, God forbid, like I have talked about numerous times, if the staff can't get there.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
I'm
that
good.
won't be the
I
case,
did
but-
move out of Dublin, but
Okay.
I'm only like 40 minutes away. So
Okay, all right.
I will be there.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was asking if there was like, if you guys within Europe can travel and, I
yeah,
guess
yeah, it's all good.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, yeah. You just
Literally
need to fill
currently
out
traveling.
forms. There you go.
Grant's ready.
Oh, there's Grant. He's already in the airport.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I've just
worries.
arrived back at Heathrow.
Okay, I'm
But
going to
we'll be
stop the
there.
recording.
Yeah, we'll be.
Okay, thanks, guys.